Attribution is a compass, not a GPS. It gives you direction, not a perfect map. Use it that way, and it's incredibly valuable. Expect it to give you all the answers, and you'll be disappointed every time. Welcome back to The Ordinary, the Marketing Ops podcast, where we keep it real. I'm Morten, your host, and today it's back to just me. If you've been following this solo series I've been doing on the podcast, you know the pattern. We started with how most of us accidentally fell into marketing ops. Then we talked about why MOps is not IT support and why that distinction matters. Today, we're going to go deeper into something that might be the least glamorous topic in all of marketing operations, and also one of the most important. Today's episode is called The Boring Stuff Wins. I'm talking about data quality, attribution, documentation, naming conventions. You know, the things nobody wants to do, nobody gets promoted for doing, and everybody suffers when they're not done. I'm doing this on the move because sometimes the clearest thinking happens when you're outside, one foot in front of the other. And if you're not watching this episode, just listening, I think you should turn on your video because, there's the sun. Not often seen here at this time of year, but so I'm right out in the field. And but let's get into it. First question: why is data quality so hard to prioritize? The answer is pretty simple. It's invisible. Nobody sees clean data. Nobody gets an alert saying, "Congratulations, your data quality is excellent today." You only hear about data when something breaks. When the report shows nonsense, when the segmentation is off, when the email went to the wrong email list. That's when data become visible. Right when it's already too late. And because it's invisible when it's working, it never feels urgent. There's always a campaign that needs to go out, always a tool that needs configuring, always something more exciting to do with your time. Nobody gets promoted for cleaning data. Nobody gets a round of applause for deduplicating records or fixing a broken field mapping. It's slow, it's painful, it's unglamorous. But bad data poisons everything. Your reporting, your segmentation, your automation, and your lead scoring. If the foundation is broken, it doesn't matter how good the campaign is. It doesn't matter how sophisticated the workflow is. You're building on sand. I've seen companies invest hundreds of thousands in marketing technology and then wonder why nothing performs as expected. And you see them too. And the answer, almost always, is the data. The boring stuff. The stuff nobody wanted to do. Question 2, and this one gets a bit spicy. Attribution. Bullshit or necessary evil? My answer? Both. Here's the thing about attribution. No model is perfect. Every single one of them lies a little. Don't believe me? Listen, first touch says the first thing the lead ever saw is what matters the most. Last touch says whatever happened right before this conversion is what counts. Multi-touch tries to spread the credit around. And the thing is, none of them capture what actually happened in a person's head before they decided to buy or convert. And yet, without attribution, you're flying completely blind. You have no idea which channels are working, which campaigns are driving revenue, where to invest the next quarter. So you need it, even if it's imperfect. The danger is over-engineering attribution instead of actually using it. People spend months building the perfect attribution model, and then they still don't know what to do with it. The best approach I've found: pick a model, be consistent, know its limitations, and use it to make decisions, not to declare absolute truth. Attribution is a compass, not a GPS. It gives you direction, not a perfect map. Use it that way, and it's incredibly valuable. Expect it to give you all the answers, and you'll be disappointed every time. Question 3. Documentation. Why does nobody write it while everybody needs it? I will confess something. I've been guilty of this many times. You finish something, you're tired, it works. And you think, I'll document it later. Later never comes. And then you leave, or you get sick, or 6 months pass, and you forget exactly how it was set up. And you have to figure it out, or someone else has to figure it out. Or worse, they accidentally break it because they didn't know how it worked. The reason nobody writes documentation is that it feels like extra work, not real work. Real work is building the thing. Real work is running the campaign. Writing down how you did it, that's bureaucracy. That's overhead. Except it's not. Onboarding a new person without documentation takes 3 times as long, at least. Troubleshooting a broken integration you set up 2 years ago takes 3 times as long, at least. Scaling a process that only lives in one person's head, nearly impossible. Documentation is how your past self helps your future self, or even your colleagues in the future. And it's how the organization becomes less dependent on one single person or any single person. The trick, and I say this from my experience, is to build documentation into the process, not after. While you're building something, document what you're doing, why you made each decision, and where the edge cases are. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Page in Notion, a comment in the workflow, a Loom video of how it works. Anything is better than nothing. As I said, future you will thank you, and the next person who has to work with your systems will thank you. Question 4. Naming conventions and other boring things. Why do they matter so much? Well, this one sounds trivial until you've had to search for a campaign in HubSpot or any other tool and found 47 versions named some variation of email _ final _ caps lock final, blah, blah, blah. True story. Most of us have been there. Naming conventions are about findability, about reporting, about sanity. When your UTM parameters are consistent, you can trust your reports. When your folder structures makes sense, you can find anything in 10 seconds instead of 10 minutes. When your assets follow a naming logic, the next person who touches them actually understands what they're looking at. It's 5 minutes to set up, and it saves hundreds of hours. The unsexy foundation that makes everything else work. Same thing with folder structures, UTM parameters, campaign naming conventions, asset libraries. None of it is exciting. All of it is essential. And these systems compound. Bad naming convention from year one haunts you for years. You end up with legacy campaigns you can't interpret, reports that don't make any sense, data you can't trust. A good naming convention from day one makes everything downstream easier. It's a small investment with a massive return. That's the definition of boring stuff that wins. Last question. If you're starting from scratch, where do you actually begin? This is the one I get asked most often by people who are new to MOps or joining a company where things are a mess. And my answer is always the same. Audit first, build second. Before you touch anything, understand what exists. What tools are in use, what's connected to what's broken, what's not documented. You can't fix what you don't understand, and the audit will surprise you. There's almost always more than you expected, old workflows nobody's using, integrations held together with duct tape, data in places it shouldn't be. Don't start by buying new tools. Don't start by rebuilding the tech stack. Understand the processes first. The tools, they come later. Then, find the quick wins. There's always something that's been annoying people for months and would take you 2 hours to fix. Fix that thing. It builds trust, shows you understand their pain. It buys you time and goodwill to do the harder work. And document as you go. Every decision you make, every system you set up, every process you create. Future you will thank you, and the organization will be better for it. And talk to people. Sales, marketing, leadership. Understand the pain points before you start solving them. MOPS doesn't exist in a vacuum. We exist to make the business work better. And you can't do that if you don't understand what better means to the people around you. So that's it for today. The boring stuff wins. Data quality, attribution, documentation, naming conventions, starting from scratch. None of it glamorous, all of it matters. The best MOPS professionals I've ever worked with aren't the ones with the fanciest tech stack. They're the ones whose foundations are solid, whose data is clean, whose processes are documented, whose naming makes sense. That boring stuff is actually the competitive advantage. If any of this hits close to home, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear what your version of the boring stuff looks like. And if you know someone who's about to skip the boring stuff to go straight to the shiny tools, for example, send them this episode first. Until then, keep building, keep learning, and keep being the person who makes it all work. This is The Ordinary. I'm your host, Morten. Catch you in the next one.